Do you ever feel like the world is becoming increasingly fake? Let's talk about the artificial life trap. What if I told you that everything you've ever been taught to want, to be, and to become was designed to keep you from discovering who you really are? Right now, there's a massive transfer happening. And I don't mean just of wealth and technology, but a massive transfer of your consciousness itself. And if you don't wake up to this now, you risk losing the most precious thing you have, which is your sovereignty as a creator. Hi, I'm Saratoga Ocean, and I work together with an interdimensional, interuniversal force of nature and evolution known as Telstar, along with Michael. For over 30 years, we have helped guide thousands of people to a higher path of natural human evolution. Today, I'm going to expose the artificial life system, and I'm going to show you exactly how to break free and reclaim your authentic self. So let me paint the picture of what is actually happening right now. We are living in what I call the artificial kingdom. This is about an entire lifestyle and system that has been designed to disconnect you from your true self. From the moment we're born, we are programmed. Go to school, get a job, buy a house, retire, and die. That's the script. And along the way, we outsource our thinking to experts, our health to pharmaceutical companies, our worth to social media likes, and now our choices to algorithms. Now, I'm not talking about rejecting the positive parts of modern life. This is about recognizing how and where we've given away our power. And there are three major systems of artificial living that are operating right now. First, there's the external authority trap. This is where we outsource our decisions to media, influencers, and so-called experts. We let other people tell us what to think, what we should fear, and what to believe. Secondly, from birth on, we are given a programmed life script. This encourages us to follow society's template instead of our soul's blueprint. Thus, we end up living the life we think we're supposed to live, rather than the life we actually came here to live. And third, there's the artificial intelligence overlay, which is accelerating rapidly. AI is now making choices for us. You know what to watch, what to buy, what to think, and what to believe. Now, I invite you to think of consciousness as being like a garden. In its natural state, a garden grows wild, abundant, and authentically. The artificial life system is like covering that garden with concrete and putting in fake plastic plants. It looks like a garden from a distance, but there's no real life, no real growth, and no connection to the earth. And here's what most people don't realize. Every time you outsource your sense of self, you are literally giving away your consciousness. When you let the media tell you what to fear and what to think about, you've given them a piece of your consciousness. When you let AI make all your choices for you, you're training yourself to stop choosing. You're training insecurity in your own judgment. And when you follow a life path because that's what you're supposed to do, you have surrendered your soul's purpose and blueprint. So here's what's really happening. We are at a critical junction. Humanity is splitting between those who are reclaiming themselves through authentic living and those who are completely surrendering to artificial systems. The timeline split that I've been talking about for years isn't just spiritual anymore. It's visible in how people are living right now. Some people are thriving. They are creating authentically and connecting to their personal truth. And others are letting their consciousness dissolve into digital avatars, media narratives, and AI-generated realities. So it's important to understand what's really at stake here. This isn't just about freedom. This is about your evolutionary trajectory in the cosmos. See, there's what I call reverse flow energy and radiating flow energy. Artificial living keeps you in a reverse flow. It's where everything is coming at you, controlling you, and making you reactive. In this case, you end up feeling like the world is happening to you. But authentic living activates a radiating flow of energy, just like light. This is where your light, your power, and your creation flow out from you. You become the source. You become the creator. And these two flows lead to completely different outcomes and timelines. One timeline leads to ascension, to evolution, and to connection with the natural earth and cosmic forces. The other timeline, the one of reverse flow, leads to an absorption into an artificial system. Now, I want to talk about what is happening within the next 5 or 10 years, because this divide is going to become unmistakable. Those on the authentic timeline will be creating and thriving and connected to the natural earth. They will be aligned with natural cosmic forces. Those on the artificial timeline will be increasingly dependent on external systems for their sense of identity, purpose, and even their survival. Now, the controllers are counting on us not noticing this until it's too late. They're counting on us being so distracted, so divided, and so overwhelmed that we just hand over our consciousness without even realizing that we're doing it. And here is their actual plan. They want to take their version of reality, their lies, their fear, and their control, and they want to insert that into everyone's consciousness as the new reality. They don't want us owning any part of our own consciousness. Their plan is to own it all. Now, the reason that I always say that they're so stupid is because they don't have any access to higher intelligence because of their nature and of what they have chosen to become. So they end up making up these ridiculous, dumb stories and plots and just weird stuff. You know, like anything but the truth. As long as it's not the truth, they're going to go with it. But here's what they don't understand. When you understand their predicament, which is a total lack of intelligence, and then you look at your own natural sphere of consciousness, you can make a very powerful decision. You can decide that you are going to 100% own your sphere of consciousness. Because if you don't, their plan is to insert their reality, their cartoon from hell, into your consciousness. But if you own that space firmly and completely with full presence, then they can't insert that cartoon. They can't. In fact, if your light is strong enough, it's actually going to work against them. Now let me show you the evidence of what is actually happening. Let's start with AI. ChatGPT is now writing our emails, our essays, and even love letters. AI algorithms are curating every piece of content we see, thus controlling our perception and our experience of reality. Companies are developing AI companions to replace human relationships. And then there's this massive ongoing push towards some kind of version of the metaverse, which some say could become a complete AI duplicate of the Earth. And I've talked about all of this before in my videos about the timeline split. But this isn't science fiction. This is actually happening now. And then there's the media programming. We have these 24/7 fear cycles, not news cycles, fear cycles, keeping us in survival mode. Do you guys remember when the controllers were saying that we live in the era of global boiling? No, it wasn't just global warming anymore. It was literally global boiling and the seas were on fire. Do you remember seeing those weather maps with red oceans and fire coming out of the water? Wasn't that long ago? I mean, this is the extent of their lying. They want us to believe that we are living on a burning, fiery ball of hell when we're actually on this beautiful, watery blue planet. See, the media tells us what is important, while the real story is happening in the background. They keep us obsessed with division, left versus right. And then, of course, there's the endless name calling. This is all so that we're completely distracted and don't see the bigger picture. Oh, but let's not forget the social compliance systems. The education system was designed specifically to create obedient workers. It was not designed to encourage creative thinkers. And then there was the corporate ladder that promised security and fulfillment. But now, of course, it's either entirely non-existent or at best, very cold and unreliable. Social media validation has replaced internal worth. And we have experts for everything. We have forgotten how to trust our own inner knowing. Now, here's what this is manifesting physically. We have rising anxiety, depression, and an epidemic of disconnection. And it's so ironic because people are feeling more isolated and lonely despite being more artificially connected than ever before. And chronic illness is rising as we ignore our body's own natural wisdom. And it's also kind of weird because all the time I hear people who are awakened say, I feel like I'm living someone else's life. That's because, in a way, they are. They're living the artificial life script instead of their authentic soul's blueprint. So how does all of this apply to your life right now? Well, let me show you. I want to suggest that you do a personal sovereignty assessment. I'm going to share a few questions with you, and as you answer them to yourself, try to be really honest with yourself. First, on the topic of media and social media consumption, ask yourself, am I consuming information or is information consuming me? Do you decide what to think, or does the media decide for you? Can you go a day without checking the news and still feel grounded? And then the second question is on the topic of your life's path. Ask yourself this profound question. Am I living my life? Or am I living the life I was programmed to want? And if money wasn't an issue, would you still choose your current path? Are your goals actually yours? Or are they what society told you to achieve? And by the way, feel free to put in the comments any of your responses to these questions. Now, the third topic is on the subject of AI dependency. Am I using technology, or is technology subtly using me? Can you make decisions without consulting an algorithm? Have you outsourced your creativity, your thinking, and even your inner work? And most importantly, Have you abandoned your natural human ability to problem solve? Okay, now the fourth and final question is on the topic of your personal identity. Ask yourself this: where does my sense of worth come from? Is it external validation from likes, followers, and ultimately social status? Or does it come from a deep level of internal knowing? Do you know who you are without your job title, your relationship status, or your achievements? Do you know yourself as a creator? Now, based on where you are with those questions, I want to give you a process to reclaim yourself. Here are 5 steps to take back your sovereignty. Step 1, recognize where your life is in a reverse flow. Notice when you're in reactive mode versus creative mode. Identify where you've given your power away. Notice if you're stuck in blame. Instead, you want to shift into awareness because that puts you in control of your consciousness. Step 2 is to establish your inner authority. Before you absorb the opinions of others, ask yourself this question: what do I actually think or feel about this? You also want to practice owning your decisions, even the small ones, and trust your body's wisdom. And if you are consulting with experts, remember to include your own experience in the conversation. Step number 3 is to reclaim your life's path. Get in touch with your soul's desire. Think about what you actually want, not what you think you should want. And you might even want to identify one area where you might be living someone else's dream, and then figure out how you can make a change to something that aligns with you. Step 4 is to create conscious boundaries with technology. Use AI as a tool, not as a replacement for part of your consciousness. You could set media consumption limits, choose when and what you consume. And here's the most important thing: create some tech-free, sacred time daily to remember who you are without the digital overlay. And finally, step 5 is to anchor to the natural earth. This is your link to the universe and to a higher timeline. Make sure that you find a daily connection to nature, even if it's just for 5 or 10 minutes. Engage in creativity by doing something physical. Honor your body and your physical presence. And of course, remind yourself to be grateful for the absolute physical beauty of this planet. Now, finally, I want to talk to you about what this looks like in practice, because that's so important to understand. When we look at it in terms of consciousness and sovereignty, here's how you can think about this. What are you going to create in the space of your consciousness? How are you going to occupy that space and own it 100%? Well, you can start by creating the life that you want, the body that you want, the consciousness that you want, and the overall reality that you want. When you create from the presence of who you are, there will be a high vibrational light imbuing your creation. The controllers only have the power that we turn over to them. They get their power inside the space of our consciousness, literally by default. They get their power when we're not paying attention. And that's when we can be most easily manipulated. This is why going unconscious to them is not the answer. It is wise to be somewhat aware of what they're up to as long as you don't let it consume you. See, if you have a belief that's like, I don't want to think about it, it's too negative, that's really a fear-based unconscious position. And you don't need to have a fear-based position. It's your consciousness. You own it. You get to decide what's in there, not them. So now I want to hear from you guys. Have you noticed that the world is becoming increasingly artificial? Do you feel frustrated that things feel more fake than ever before? Share your thoughts in the comments. I would love to know your perspective on this. And here's my challenge for you this week. Choose just one small decision that you would normally outsource to someone or something else. Maybe it's what you think about a news story. Maybe it's how you spend your time. Maybe it's about what you're going to do next. Make that simple choice from your inner knowing, not from an algorithm, an expert, or what you think you should do. And then notice how that feels. Now, if this video resonated with you, I am here every week with new perspectives to support you in staying on a natural timeline of human evolution. So I would love it if you subscribe and join me on this journey. Also, give this video a thumbs up if you have decided to fully reclaim your sovereignty. And share this with anyone else who could use some encouragement to restore their own beautiful humanity. Remember, your consciousness is the most precious thing you have. Own that space. Fill it with your presence, your light, and your truth. It's time to fully restore your consciousness and heal your life. And with that, I'm sending you so much love, light, and high vibrational energy. Have a beautiful day, my friends, and I will see you in the next video. Namaste.